Hey there, Mama, and welcome to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. This space is for all the mamas out there. Whether you're a mom-to-be, a mom of 1 or 6, or even an empty nester, motherhood isn't always easy, and it's definitely not perfect, but it's a beautifully amazing, wild ride. From tantrums to sleepless nights, to first bike rides without training wheels, to college graduations, we're here for all of it. I'm your host, Alexis Schmoker. I'm a wife, mama to 2 beautiful babies. I'm a nurse and a lover of Jesus. I created this podcast to connect with other mamas, share their stories, and find joy in the beautiful chaos we call motherhood. So grab your cup of coffee or whatever fuels you. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, okay, it's Alexis. Happy Monday. I am here with one of my favorite people in the world, my sister, Addison. Addison is a counselor that specializes in college careers. What is it, college career?
Yeah, college and careers.
College and careers at the local high school. So she's also had experience with different colleges in the past too, RSU and Oklahoma State. So Addison, hi.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I know about you because you're my sister.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm 28 years old. Yikes. I have a 3-year-old little boy. His name's Briggs. I married my high school sweetheart, Ben, and we've been together 11 years now and married like 5.5.
It's a long time.
Yeah, a really long time.
It's a long time. Well, thanks so much for coming again. Okay, so we're going to start out with what I thought was kind of just a fun icebreaker. So as moms, you know we're our worst critics. We can be absolutely crushing it every single day, but one quote-unquote mom fail has us questioning everything. So normally you're the person that I text immediately whenever I have some sort of mom fail. But so in the spirit of keeping it real, what's your cringiest mom fail?
Okay, so this is actually a perfect question around this time of the year because, as you know, I sent my child to daycare on his first Valentine's with no Valentines to give to his friends, no box, nothing. He might have been wearing my first Valentine's Day because he was, a couple months old. Who would think to send him with Valentine's? Then my second year, I remembered the Valentines, did not remember the box because I didn't know I had to make a box. This year, I thought I was on it. I made homemade Valentines on Canva. I was rocking it. They were even in a cute little bag. They're personalized. They made a box. I had to send a milk jug, so I knew they made a box. And then Briggs got sick. So then he didn't go to school during Valentine's. So when he went back, his first day back, I sent him with his Valentines. Mind you, that was last week. I found 8 of them in my car today. So I only sent 2 friends Valentines last week.
What? Okay, I didn't know that. But I can attest that they were very cute. It brings us into cars. So you made these cute little Cars reference. I think it said I really love you with Lightning McQueen because he only wears and talks about Lightning McQueen. But I didn't know that you only sent a couple.
Yeah, so I even texted daycare hey girl, so sorry he was late. I was supposed to bring cookies. I'm so sorry. Here's his Valentines. He is so excited to give them to his friends. And they probably were girl, there's only 5 in here. He has 16 friends in his class. Where are the others? She never said anything to me. So that is so kind of her. But then, today I went to take him to daycare and they were all on the floorboard of my car.
How funny. Okay, well, in the spirit of Valentine's too, you met one of your best friends through Valentine's cards.
Yes, through my kids' Valentine's.
Through your kids' Valentine's cards. So Riley's mom, Riley's mom's one of your best friends, sent home a Valentine's with Briggs, but it was kind of for you. It was, what did it say?
Yeah, so his Valentine's last year, I got one. I was going through because, really we're the ones that can read and eat the candy or whatever. And it said hey Briggs, if you want to have a play date, have your mom text me. And so I texted her and we went on a play date and then we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, and we love them too. And, Riley's the same age as both of our kiddos, so they all get along. And going into that, our kids are the same age.
Yes.
So we kind of joked quote unquote joked about doing Pregnancy Pack 2022. And guys, this was a joke. We were never serious. And so we were out on the boat or at the lake, and I remember you telling me like that you guys were pregnant with Briggs, and we were over the moon, like so excited. And then it was maybe a week later, I found out I was pregnant with Crew Pearl.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really plan that. Even getting pregnant with Crew Pearl, like we were ready and excited when it happened, but we were not like planning it. So now we have kids that are the exact same age. We got to go through our first pregnancies together. So that kind of leads us into our first question.
Well, do you remember when you told me at Andolini's?
Oh, yes. Okay,
so,
yeah.
She gave me a onesie that said Cousin Crew or something like that, and I didn't get it. I was like, oh, thanks for his first onesie. Like, so cute. And then she was like, no, you need to have a cousin. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And then she's like, no, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, like, you're pregnant, thus he has a cousin, thus the shirt. I get it all now because I was just so like surprised.
You didn't get it. Well, because it was a surprise. So also we were getting married during COVID. So our big dream wedding got canceled. And so Jordan and I actually eloped very romantically at the Tulsa County Courthouse. And so that was in February. And then we were moving to Hawaii for the summer because we were using like our wedding budget. But we were having a small reception in June. So, I mean, I really was not planning on getting pregnant, maybe in Hawaii, you know. But we found out that we were pregnant right before, like, our reception and going to Hawaii. Mind you, we'd already been married. So I think everyone was kind of shocked. I was shocked. But you were planning on telling some of our family that weekend. So we had pulled you guys aside, kind of just like, hey, we don't want to take away from your big news, but also we have big news too. Yeah. So it was fun. It was crazy. It was something we did not expect. And I feel like even telling mom and dad and everything, like everyone was so shocked.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. So it was special to experience pregnancy together and sharing this incredible journey side by side, having our babies literally 3 days apart, which is a whole nother thing because
whole different story. They
were supposed to be 6 weeks apart. And while you were coming out of the hospital,
like literally in my wheelchair,
walking out, rolling out, I guess. I was walking in to have Crew because she was ready to come out.
I can remember my mom kept calling and I was like, lady, I'm trying to leave the hospital with my child. Like, give me a minute. Hold on. And then she called my husband and then I was like, okay, somebody's got to call her back. Something's obviously wrong. She was like, you need to come see your sister.
Yes. Well, because Crew, a whole long story too, Crew wasn't doing well. She's great now and we had a great birth and everything was wonderful, but it was a scary time. And it was COVID, so you couldn't, like, it was only one person in, one person out. Like, it was very strict, even though we did break those rules and we got away with it because one of my friends delivered her. Thank you, Miranda. But, yeah, it was super strict then. But with that, you know, this is such a special bond that we have, and we still have it. Like, having them the exact same age is so fun. So, what was your favorite part about being pregnant with me at the same time?
I think going through pregnancy, obviously it's so new because that was clearly our first pregnancies. And just, like, reassuring yourself, like, some days you wake up and you're, like, on the moon, you're glowing, this is the best day ever. And then there were some days that I was like, y'all, this is actually awful. Like, I was so sick. I could only eat the smoothies from Brew on Highway 20. I was like, this is supposed to be so exciting. And I think just having somebody in that literal, like, exact same spot of, like, hey, like, this is happening to my body. Is this happening to yours? Instead of, like, relying on Google, like, having somebody that, like, actually was going through the same thing. Yeah, I think it was just really fun and, yeah, reassuring.
It is, because you really don't know what is happening. And even with different pregnancies, so now I have a second child, and both pregnancies were completely different. And yeah, it's not always so glamorous. And not to say, like, I loved being pregnant with both of my kids. Well, I loved being pregnant with Crew. Wilder was a harder pregnancy for me. But I loved growing him. But it's not always, like, so great. And sometimes I felt absolutely horrible. So yeah, I would say that's fun. And then we got to do, like, our baby showers around the same time, and just different things. We did our gender reveal together. That was fun. The boys hit golf balls, like and then we both had a boy and a girl. So you had a son and I had a daughter, which was really fun. And with that, our kids thankfully have been healthy kids. We've had healthy kids along the way. But one thing that we've kind of both struggled on and off with are ear infections. And I feel like, I don't know, before you were a mom, did you like talk about ear infections on a daily basis like you talk about them now?
No, I didn't even think it was a thing. I thought if you went swimming too long, you got an ear infection.
Yeah, like swimmer's ear or something, if that's what they called it. I don't know. But Briggs in particular has had a tough time with ear infections. He's had, 2 sets of tubes. Mm-hmm. Did he have his adenoids removed already?
On his second set.
On his second set, and now he's looking at getting his tonsils out and another set of tubes.
Yeah. Which
is hard, like for him, for you guys, for everyone. It feels like ear infections is something that was like I said, like left out of the mom handbook. Can you share a little bit of information just like from your own ear infection journey? And I know you guys are still like in the ear infection journey, but for some moms who might be going through the same thing, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Well, I think the first thing, our doctor was super helpful in showing us like the anatomy of your ears. So the way Briggs's ears were built by God were just not angled how like he needed to get all this stuff out. And so I, for the longest time, thought I was doing something wrong. And finally the doctor was like, it's how his ear is shaped. So that helped. And then she just kind of explaining like, when he would get a stuffy nose, everybody else would just say he had a stuffy nose. No, he couldn't get all of that fluid out. And so I just had to know for my child, I had to advocate when he showed certain symptoms. It wasn't just, oh, it's in the middle of the cold winter, he's got a stuffy nose. Like there was something else to it, and he wasn't going to get better unless I got him the treatment for the ears. And so it took a while to figure that out, but I finally had a doctor that allowed me to see an ENT because I didn't know, like they wanted him to have so many ear infections by a certain age. And I finally was like, I'm not doing this. He is, at that point, he got his first set at 6 months old. So we're talking like very, very early on. And I was like, this isn't good. He's been on antibiotics every other week of his life. I'm not a doctor, but this can't be good for his body. What can we do? And finally she said I could see it, like we could go see an ENT. And so we got him his first set. That was amazing. We used an amazing doctor, Dr. Hall. He was so great. Because if you could only imagine a little 6-month-old baby, he had to go back to surgery. They put him under, like, it was terrifying. And once we had his set of tubes, then he could get drops in his ears instead of oral antibiotics, which, if you can imagine, a 6-month-old baby taking oral antibiotics, and that just messed up their whole system, and then it had diaper rash and all of those things. So I think my biggest piece of advice was advocate for your kid, ask the questions, because I finally had to understand that I don't know what is happening. I need somebody to help me. And then once I knew the symptoms, I knew when to take him to the doctor, when not to take him to the doctor, what to ask for. So I think just learning how to advocate for him that early on and for specifically his ears. And so, yeah, his second set of tubes fall out apparently. And so both of them have fallen out. And so we are looking to get his third set because his ears still are not flushing out what they need to. And we're seeing he is having delays in speech. Like he talks, like he knows what he's saying, and I know, and usually Lexi and Sissy and everybody else around us and his dad knows, but if you're not around him a lot, it sounds like mumbling, and they're saying it's because his ear's muffled. He's saying what he thinks he's supposed to say.
Right. And yeah, he knows what he's saying. Oh, yeah. He's looking at you and he's like, what do you mean? Like, he absolutely knows what he's saying, and he's such a smart boy. But yeah, advocating for him and for yourself is so big. And I think, like, coming into being a new mom, you just don't know. You just don't know. And, like, you finally find, like, that mom voice. And not to say that you don't, like, respect the healthcare providers. And, again, I'm a nurse, so I understand, like, both sides of it. But sometimes you just have to like sound the alarm and go full-fledged and really advocate for yourself and your kid, because you're the one that is sent here to advocate for them. So I think that's great advice too, and just like having that confidence to do so. And if you don't have that confidence to do so, or if you don't know, ask other moms. Like, I think that you'd be surprised on like how quickly other moms will be to give you like different advice on how they did it, or different doctors that they've seen, or different verbiage that they've used. Because like you said, like you just, until you go through it, you really don't know what you're supposed to be asking or doing. You know, I haven't had an ear infection in you had an ear infection last week.
Yeah, it hurt, y'all. And I think little things for Briggs specifically, like looking at his ears weren't the first thing. Like if we go to say urgent care, we took him a couple weeks ago because I couldn't get in his doctor, and the first thing I said is, can you check his ears? And he should have a tube in one ear and not the other. Like, it's just not always the first thing they're looking at, but I know it could be the catalyst for other things. So yeah, just advocating and bringing forth instead of sitting there for 15 minutes with a 3-year-old. Like,
right.
Let's get straight to the point. Can you help me?
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, like leaning on other moms with that, how is being part of a community of moms? So we go to a monthly mom group, and we have a really strong group of other moms and different generational moms. So the mom group is kind of consistent of other moms that are kind of in the same stage of life as us. But then we also have 3 leaders that are more experienced moms, and they pour into us so much, and they're people that we can really go to and trust. So with that, how has that impacted your motherhood journey in both strengthening your faith and also navigating in everyday challenges like raising your kids in the world that we're in today?
Well, I think it just opens up your circle of people that can help. Like, for instance, the ear infections, you'd be surprised how many other moms have sent their kids to get tubes. And so having somebody that's walked through that, at the same time, like, hey, girl, make sure to bring XYZ toy because he's going to have a lull for 30 minutes. Like, stuff that you wouldn't know and that is not in the pre-op paperwork. And then I think, like, the main thing, of course, is having more people to pray for your child. We know that's all we do all day, every day, is pray and think about our kid. But sometimes it's helpful to have, like, that's an immediate 13, 14 other people that are praying for my child. And so I really appreciate that. And then I think just bringing the reality of, like, motherhood's hard and being a Christian mother is hard. But having other people help with the little things. Like, here's an idea that I do to incorporate both our moral code and the Bible and motherhood. And I think that's super helpful. And not all the moms, like, we have kids exact same age, 3 days apart. There's other moms in there with 3-year-olds, but there's also other moms in there with 5, 6-year-olds. And so sometimes when, you know, Shelby will say stuff, I'm like, okay, at some point he's going to understand, you know, and capture all the things that I'm teaching him now. So having that futuristic look, which is one of the things that Mom Collective talks about a lot of, like, you're training your child up to be, you know, a competent, strong adult. That's hard to see when you're having a 3-year-old with a tantrum in the middle of Target. And so having that perspective.
Right. Yeah. It's equipping yourself for not the next 20 minutes, but the next 20 years. So really keeping your eye on, like, that focus. And if you're wanting to look more into that, check out the Fearless Mom podcast. Julie's awesome. We love her. She's silly.
And if you're local, 100%, like Mom Collective, they add new groups every single year. And so if you're local, definitely check that out. But seriously, Mom Collective's been amazing, and the Fearless Mom podcast. Like, we only go through one of Julie's, you know, sermon sections each year, but there's so much more out there. And so
there's so much more. Yeah.
I think just wrapping yourself around, like, biblical truth, and especially in motherhood too, like, is so, so important. And just reminding yourself that we're human, but we have a bigger God and a bigger purpose. And sometimes that perspective is all you need to get through sleepless nights.
Yeah. And sometimes too, just having those other people that whenever you are feeling down, they can speak truth into you. You know, Julie, one of our leaders, gave us all a personalized Bible and, like, prayed over it and wrote scripture in it, and, like, scripture that she was thinking about for us. And, like, it, I feel like, comes up all the time. And it's just like, that just truly shows that God has placed these people in our life to pray over us and love over us. Yeah, so that's great. Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a second to share something super special. When Cooper was born, we came home to a beautiful stork in our yard, and that was such a sweet surprise. That's the magic that Owasso Storks provides. A local company owned by Addison Sewell offering personalized stork rental delivery services. So whether it's for a baby announcement, an adoption, or even a shower, this is a thoughtful gesture and it brings so much joy. To rent your own stork, check out Owasso Storks on Instagram. That's at OWASSO STORKS, Owasso Storks. Trust me, it's a memory you'll never forget. And we haven't always been brought up in, like, we go to First Church, so it's an independent Christian church. We were brought up Catholic. We come from a large, close-knit, probably too close-knit, Irish Catholic family. Our upbringing was, rooted in the Catholic Church. We attended Sunday school. We attended, VBS, sometimes together, because one of us needed their big sister in every class.
I made it out eventually.
We went to Mass. As we got older, we started attending First Church, like with our friends in middle school and high school, because they had a really cool, like, youth group, and they're still growing and have such great things. But eventually it turned into our whole family attending together. And that wasn't an easy transition, too, because like we said, like, our family was very rooted in the Catholic Church, and we're so grateful for the Catholic Church. But that did take, like, especially for Dad, some pulling away to all go to church together. But personally, I'm incredibly grateful for the way that God has guided our faith journey, bringing us both through the traditional Catholic faith and then to First Church. Jordan and I even christened Crew in the Catholic Church. And then we're getting Woofy Wilder. We call him Woofy through First Church. But how do you feel like our upbringing has shaped your relationship with God and how it plays a role in both the mother you are today and the counselor you've become?
Yeah, so the other day somebody was talking about how the most dangerous thing to do is live in the Bible Belt because everybody around you says they're a Christian. And I think that has been, which I think could be true if you look at it that way. Where I was thinking is, I feel like us being raised in the Catholic Church and then transitioning to a non-denominational Christian church made us choose what do we actually believe and what have we just been taught. And so I think one of the things, like living in the Bible Belt, everybody might be like a lukewarm Christian. It's my choice of, do I actually believe this, or is this culturally how we just do things? And so, yeah, I think there's definitely things that, like, I didn't think about as a kid. It was just, that's how you did it. And I think transitioning into the non-denominational church when we were younger, did I realize it then? No, but now I realize that it was a true act of love for our parents to identify, okay, Lex and Addie are starting to go to this church. We don't want our family separated on Wednesday night and Sunday morning. How are we going to go about this? And they made the decision where our children growing the most, and that was at the Christian church. And so they started going on Sundays, and I was in 6th grade, and now I'm 28, so however long that was.
Yeah.
But I didn't obviously realize that was that big of a deal.
Right. Yeah.
Until now.
And it is a big deal. And your husband was going to that church as a kid and still goes there. But that's just another thing that, like, you didn't know that then. Yeah. Which was just kind of a...
If you're married or, engaged, like, that's one thing that, like, throughout marriage counseling of where are you going to go to church? And I, thankfully, mine was an easy answer. Ben and I both went to the same church. But now looking back, I see how that could have been a tension for people when they're getting married. And God was laying my path when I was in 6th grade and didn't even realize who my husband was.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of something that Jordan and I will dive into another time, but that we kind of had to navigate together because he was also raised Catholic. Mm-hmm. So kind of deciding where we were wanting to raise our family was a whole conversation, and God just truly laid it out. Like, we couldn't mess it up. I think that's the thing with God's plan is, like, sometimes I think I fear, like, what if I do this and I mess it up? Or what if I do that and I mess it up? Like, you're not going to mess it up. It's already laid out for you. Like, you just have to be obedient in every single day to follow him. And I think if you just keep your mind, you wake up every morning and just decide to be obedient in that day and follow, like, you're not going to mess up his plans. Yeah.
And I think you had asked, how has that shaped me into being the counselor I am? I think maybe just, like, the person I am, but I think being aware of, like, cultural norms in culturally Catholic families. Now one of our secretaries at school is the sweetest lady. Is culturally Catholic, and they do things that are different, and not that it's wrong, but different. And I think having that backstory of being able to see what and why certain people do what they do might be tied to how they practice their religion. And I think that in a small way opened me up to there's more religions in the world than what we practice. And that's super beneficial for my job because I work at a non-Christian school. I have to be unbiased. And you'd be surprised. There's a lot of religions or different religions in Owasso, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would surprise me too.
Oh, yeah. Like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Our church is currently going through a series called The Battle Within, which focuses on addressing mental health from a biblically sound theological perspective. I'm truly grateful for this topic because, as you know, battles with anxiety and fear have been real challenges that I've tried to keep up rent in my mind sometimes and in my heart and my soul. When you feel those battles rising up within you, what are some truths of God's word that you ground yourself in to reclaim peace?
I should have looked this verse up, and maybe I should after this, but I literally have it in my house, just be still and know. Mm-hmm. And I think what Alexis was talking about a minute ago, I used to think I needed to know the whole plan, and that's not the case. God knows my plan. I just need to be still and literally know that He is God and He is who He says He is. And once I have started to hone in on that a little bit, that comes with a lot of comfort of, I don't need to know the answer. I just need to be who I was created to be. And that makes some of those anxious days a little bit less scary.
Right. Yeah. And I think, too, I love the Whoa, That's Good podcast by Sadie Robertson Huff. She has been focusing big time on your identity and like rooting your identity in God and the God that's never changing. The God who was and is to come. Like, this is not His first rodeo with the things that we're going through. So really rooting yourself and reminding yourself that your identity is rooted in God, who's constant, who's unshakable, brings such a sense of peace. And I think another thing, too, that we're both doing together right now is getting in His word daily. And like you said, like we were raised in the church from birth. And I have never read the Bible front to back all the way through.
I've never even finished a chapter in the book of the Bible.
Which is crazy because, like I said, like I went to Catholic school for a little bit too. Like we went to Sunday school. We've done all the things. So this year we're reading the Bible Recap by Tara Lee Cobble. And I would absolutely recommend it. There's multiple different ways to do it. It is just like a few chapters a day. And then she does a podcast video, or you could do the YouTube video, whatever you want to do. Or even the book. You have the book. I have the book, but I've been doing the Holy Bible app. It's on there. So you can download the Holy Bible app, search plans, search the Bible Recap, and it comes up like one day at a time. And so I think like just committing, like I said, like to that day, it helps, like just following and being obedient in that day. And then the sense of peace that comes with that and just growing your understanding and like knowing God's character, it comes up all day long. Like He just shows you over and over and over again.
And we're only, like, I think Alexis is a little bit ahead of me, but I'm only, like, 13% of the way through, like, 4 books in, and we just got through Moses, and so it's showing, like, Moses messed up here, then he got back on track, and then he messed up here, and then he got back on track. Like, if Moses can mess up and be one of the most used men in the Bible to create God's plan, I can mess up here or there, and God knows I'm going to mess up. And so I think putting me back in reality of like, Addison, just because you said XYZ wrong is not going to end the world. Like,
right.
Regroup, refocus, and keep going. I think I was almost giving myself too much credit. Like,
right.
I was so anxious because I had so many things left, and I was responsible for all of these things, and my child, and my family, and my house, and I'm only 28 and I'm going to live to whatever. I would literally spin into these things. And like, I am just a girl trying to raise a family. Like, I don't have that much control over everything. And after I humbled myself, that's been the most like freeing thing.
Right. Yeah. And she says at the end of every one, what does she say? He's where the joy is. And we've heard that how many times now, every day. And I think I've heard it. And then one day, all of a sudden, like, it clicked. And I was like, holy cow, girl. He's where the joy is. Like, he is where the joy is. If you continually focus on him, like, that is where you'll find joy. And sometimes I think that I have a hard time, like, experiencing the joy or taking in the joy. Like, especially in motherhood, doing fun things. Like, you're in charge of this. You got to make sure so-and-so is fed. You got to make sure so-and-so is changed. Like, we've got nap schedule at this time. We can go to this event. And then, oh, we've got a birthday party here. And we've got this here. And we've got family dinner here. Like, I feel myself getting so focused on, like, just trying to get to the next thing. And I don't want to be that way anymore. Like, I don't want to just be surviving to get to the next event, to get to the next nap time, to get to the next bedtime. Like, I want to be present and just truly find the joy in, like, in every second of this motherhood, because it goes by so fast. And everyone says that, and everyone said that to me. And now we have 3-year-olds, and I don't know how. Like, it has flown by. And I'm sure some of you guys are listening and thinking, like, you have no idea. Like, my kids are graduating high school, or my grandbaby's coming, or whatever it may be. And you probably can even speak to this more, like, just how quickly this life goes and how blessed we are to have it. And just that we truly need to take the time to enjoy it and find the joy, but then also knowing that, like, your joy is not based on the things of this world. Like, your joy is so much more. And God never says that you're going to have a perfect day every day. Like, that life isn't going to be easy every day. Like, being a Christian, all of a sudden, if you're getting baptized and you become a Christian, yay, I'm a Christian. Your life is not just picture perfect from then. Like, it's a constant choice.
Almost opposite. He promises that it's going to be harder.
Yes. And I think that just continually rooting yourself in the Word just makes all the difference.
And it's given me more confidence. And that was the one thing I told my husband, this year I'm going to be a happier, healthier, more confident person. And he was like, but you're already pretty confident. I'm like, no, confident in myself, like, deep down. Like, confident in who I am, what I stand for, and little things that I've learned along the way. Like, did you know scapegoat, like, that term came from the Bible? Like, I know that sounds so silly, but knowing those, like, facts about the Bible, I'm like, how did I not know some of these things? I've been raised in church my whole life. We joke that we're like Buicks. You've been raised in church.
Brought up in church kid. That's what Chad says.
You're welcome, Chad. But I think just knowing those facts about the Bible almost have given me more confidence in knowing what I truly believe.
Yeah, and I'm going to butcher this verse, but about, like, what's in your heart comes out.
Yeah, like your overflow.
Your overflow, like, comes out of your mouth. And someone please tell me what verse this is. I'll look it up after. But it overflows. And I think that now having kids too, and, like, wanting to be confident in teaching them the message and the Word and who they are in Christ is given me all the motivation to do this.
Well, the biggest thing that I was like, okay, sign me up, is the first thing Tara Lee Cobble said is that somebody called her out. Like, if you've never read the Bible, how do you know what you're saying is truth? I was like, I have a kid's life on my hands. Like, what Briggs believes is his inner voice is my voice. And so is that going to be rooted in truth and scripture, in real truth or scripture, or what I thought I knew? Right. And that's where I was like, I'll be there, sign me up.
Yeah, I actually, Colleen and I talked about that yesterday, about how you said, like, that your inner dialogue is your mom's voice. And it just completely changes everything. And Pearl is at the age too where she knows, like, and it's, like, so beautiful to see because she loves Jesus. Like, she just loves him. And she always says, my boy Jesus actually wants to hear this song. And she loves Praise by Elevation Worship. And so every time we get in the car, Mom, my boy Jesus wants to listen to this song. Or, Mom, my boy Jesus wants to listen to this song. She loves Jesus Music by Kane, too. That's another one that her boy Jesus in her heart loves. So that's just a fun thing.
And I think that stuff just doesn't happen on accident. That's where I had to realize, like, this is going to take work, and it's not going to happen on accident. So I better figure out how we're going to, as a married couple, wrap Briggs around God's word and his people and his truth.
And I think, too, with the mom group, too, and with having mom friends and other families that believe in God and are Christians, you need that community for your kids to grow up in. Because I think you're not going to always be able to choose their friends. But right now you can. So kind of choosing who they're hanging out with, who is speaking into them and praying over them, I think is just also another great way to try. And do you have some ideas on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about this today because like she said, I work with mostly 11th and 12th graders. So you're think like 16 to 18, like what a pivotal time. And y'all, it's all about their friends. Like, you know who you hang out with. Show me your 5 closest friends. I'll show you your future. Like, that stuff is real. And so I was starting to think, like, who are my besties and how did I meet them? And y'all, it's all environmental. My best friend Bailey, since when I was, 2, is my mom and dad's best friend's kid. Environmental. We can do that. Where are my other friends from? Soccer, college. I met my husband in my FFA class. My mom collective, like we chose to go to mom collective. That's where some of our friends are. Briggs's best friends are Riley, which we talked about, which is from daycare. So it's all environmental. So where can I put my kid that I know solid godly friendships are going to come out of?
And with the other hand of that too, like you said, you work in a public school. Yes. My husband's also a public school teacher. So what is a way of like being able to be in the world and live in the world and not be of the world, do you think?
You guys would be so proud of me. I had my 10-year high school reunion, and guess what my high school quote was?
What?
Be in this world, but not of it.
Whoa.
So, wow, 17-year-old
You
Addison.
put that in your yearbook?
For real. I'll show you. Now, of course, I obviously didn't know the magnitude of that. But for real, though, I don't want to isolate my child, and my child will most likely go to public school, and he's going to be around different people, and I think that's healthy. Now, I think he needs to know my core close group of friends, our values need to align. And so, yeah, I think having your kid know what they believe is so crucial.
And you're able to love Jesus and love like Jesus and spread love to others too. Absolutely.
I think that's healthy, of being around people that have different views on things and maybe practice different religions. I would almost encourage that, because I think the more you have friends that you have those close, safe conversations about do we believe that's different, hopefully only validates what you believe.
And that's kind of still a time too where you can be that point person and they're coming home and you're controlling that narrative well too. Yeah, I think that's good. And like you talked about too, so you're a counselor. A couple things that I wanted to ask about, just high school kids. So about controlling the narrative, let's talk about open communication. It's so important with kids, especially entering high school. What are some ways that parents can have honest, open conversations with their teens, and how can they keep those lines of communication strong?
Yeah, I think, I think Matt said this on Sunday, your child's not the exemption or the exception. And I was like, bam, that is it. Every single time a kid gets in trouble, or parent finds something on their phone or their Chromebook or in their car, well, I didn't think my kid would do that. Or my kid knows better. Awesome, that's great. Yeah, they probably do. They're a 16-year-old kid and they are in a space where they can make mistakes. I'm not saying that makes them a bad child at all. It makes them human. But your kid's not the exception. And so how do we circle around our child and try to help them and catch them without being naive? They are going to do some of these things. And if they're not going to do it, they're probably listening to somebody's story behind them in English class about how they did it. So one way we've started this at home, and like I said, Briggs is 3, but even between my husband and I, we do highs and lows at dinner. And so I think what has been a good part of your day? What's been a bad part of your day? And asking more pointed questions rather than how was your day? Yeah. Because you're not going to get anything out of that. And then if we want to go super detailed, we talked about this yesterday. I think we will be very on top of Briggs having social media, checking his phone, more as a safety than anything. And I think there's so many times that parents, I'll talk to them on a professional level and they'll be like, well, I'm trying to give them trust. okay, but that's on a short leash. Like, you know your child, you know how much trust they can have, but also you need to protect them. And so what happens if they do get in a sticky situation? Are they going to come to you, or are they going to try to fix it themselves? And that's where, however you can make that line of communication to where they're, oh crap, I'm in trouble, I need my mom or my dad, instead of, oh crap, I'm in trouble, how do I hide this?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know it either. If anyone has any ideas, please share with us, because I think that's so true. Like, kids are kids, and they're not bad kids. They're human kids. And it's almost where, too, sometimes, this might be bad to say, but sometimes you almost want them to kind of push the boundaries a little bit, because that makes them a kid.
And if they don't do it in the safety of your household, we all know the kid that went to college and went crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you walk that line?
How do you protect them? But I agree that, like, social media is not safe all the time for kids. And sometimes it's not safe for adults. And so they were talking to you about, like, taking breaks from social media. And, I've done that multiple times. Like, sometimes there's not a reason. And sometimes I just, I'm over it. And then sometimes, like, with me, I can go worst case scenario real quick. And so I feel like they'll go through seasons of where I'm just seeing, like, bad things, and particularly, like, bad things about kids or someone's sick or whatever. And for some reason, like, I cannot shake it. So sometimes when I've taken, like, big social media breaks, it's been because, like, I just feel like it's too much influx of, like, things that are hard for me to process. And then, like, whenever we were having a hard time getting pregnant the second time, like, I kind of took a break then. So that's, like, an example of adults getting overwhelmed and feeling like social media can be tough. I am so grateful that this was not around whenever I was in high school. We had MySpace towards the end of my high school. I'm going to age myself. So if you had MySpace, and guys, you literally put your top 10 friends in order, like, for the world to see. Well, top 9, because if you followed the rules, Tom was number 1.
True. And, like, I mean, y'all Google it. There's some scary stuff out there. Like, not only the self-esteem and confidence and all of that, but, like, who is your child actually talking to? We have a professional development every single year, and every single year it's over all of this stuff. And I think it's from the Department of Homeland Security, but it is absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. And so I think, like, obviously I don't have a teenager, but I think you making that decision and controlling that, I mean, your cell phone, it's essentially your cell phone, is beneficial. And if you haven't been doing that, I think it's okay to start. Like, I think sometimes, like, we get stuck in phases of, like, oh, well, I haven't been doing this. Like, then do it. Make the change. Like, you can always be the first one to make the change. And it doesn't have to be, like, a scary thing. And I think maybe if you just sit down and truly explain, you're probably going to get a door in the face a couple times. But at the end of the day, like, it's your kid's safety, and there's a bigger picture. And I've been a teenager, and we've all been teenagers. And so I'm just going to say we're going to be a little strict.
Your kid's not the exception. Like,
I was not the exception, and my kid is not the exception. And I want to keep her safe, and I don't want her to be in situations that are not a situation that a 14-year-old girl is supposed to be in.
Yeah. We literally do a conference every year at school, and one of them is social media. And the girl that runs it said this the other day, and I was like, oh, I've never even thought about that. She said that the one example that always gets students is she asks, how many followers do you have on Instagram? They're like, 2,000. Awesome, 2,000. Okay, so your car breaks down on the side of the road. Do not expect all 2,000 of those people to stop, because they won't. And I was like, but that's truly what they think. They truly think all 2,000 of those people care about them. But you have a tire on the side of the road, or say you run out of gas in the middle of school traffic like I did, they're not all stopping.
Like you did recently.
Yeah, yeah.
But your RSO aide did stop.
He
your
stopped.
Officer.
Yes, our school resource officer saved me. And mind you, it's because I have an amazing husband and I don't fill up my gas. So the school resource officer was like, so what's wrong? I'm like, I just ran out of gas. He was like, no, what's really wrong? And I'm like, no, seriously. My husband, I guess, didn't fill up my tank. I didn't look at it. I'm at the Walgreens in the middle of school traffic, ran out of gas. It happened.
It happened, like, not that long ago. Not that long ago. But with this, too, talking about keeping your kids safe, in the school environment, a lot has changed in the last 10 years since we've been in high school. It's been longer for me. How can parents stay informed and effectively advocate for their kid in today's school system?
This may not be a popular answer, but I love the mom that will have her kid email me like, hey, Miss Sewell, I have a question about XYZ, and have the mom CC'd on the email. I think, and mind you guys, I never called and ordered my own pizza until I got married. So I am not the kid that would have emailed or gone and asked an adult a question. But teaching kids how to advocate for themselves with still being there to support them. You're still on the email, but having them ask the questions, reading your email, and I know that sounds so lame, but we all have those emails that you throw in your school or your kids' school stuff. You never check it. That is the only way I know how to communicate with my 400 kids and their parents. So I promise you I'm emailing stuff, and I over-email, but I need people to read their email. And I'm not saying I'm the best at reading my personal email either, but doing your best to stay on top of that stuff, go to events, volunteer, ask questions, be engaged. I was thinking about this today I had a mom say, well, I have something going on. I'm too busy. And I was thinking, man, this is your child. And I know I've done that too, but where are we spending our time? Mm-hmm. Am I going to miss my bar class to go to Briggs's parent-teacher conference? Absolutely. But I think showing up to all those events, being engaged, being the mom that your kids' friends know are going to be there. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you know, that parent that was always there, always helping out, was just around. Like, I've decided I think that's who I'm going to be. And yeah, I think being in the situations to be able to hear those things that you maybe don't want to hear, but at least you can hear them and figure out how to move forward with it.
Right. That's funny you say that too, because Angie, my mother-in-law, was saying, like, the amount of conversations that just made me cringe. Like, while I was driving the minivan to and from practice, you know, and that's where you're hearing and you're engaging and you're kind of getting those conversations with the boys, with your kids, with their friends, and just knowing that you're the mom that's there. And even Kimberly, one of our leaders the other day, said, like, it's you have to be intentional about being there and being around, but then you'll see the fruit of that as well, because whenever the kids do have an issue or have something, like, they're coming to you and they're talking to you, and you want to be the voice that's pouring into them, and you want the voice of other people that you trust to be the ones that are pouring into them. So I think that's really good. Okay, high school is a place where teens encounter different perspectives and ways of life. How can parents help their kids prepare to respectfully navigate those differences, especially when they may not align with our family values?
One, I think you need to know what your family values are. And that's something we talked about in Mom Collective. Like, she said, like, create a family motto. And I'm not here to say I've done that. I haven't done all my work or my homework for Mom Collective. But how do you know what your values are if you've never set them out? And so I think maybe it's something cheesy. Maybe it's you steal your church's motto. But knowing, like, in the back of my head, this is what our family believes, and having a family motto will help you identify if somebody else's values are outside of your own. But then I think having your kid be okay with people having different values, and being okay with people doing things differently. I don't think different means wrong. I think it just means different. Maybe they go to their friend's house and they don't pray before dinner, or, so like she said, we were raised Catholic. So we said grace, but it a certain prayer? Is it called something?
I don't know. I just call it dinner prayer.
Okay, but if you're Catholic, you know
the prayer. The dinner prayer.
The dinner prayer.
I thought that's what everyone said at dinner was the dinner prayer.
And they don't.
Bless us, O Lord, for these are gifts which we are about to receive. You know.
That one, yes. So Ben came over the first time he ate dinner with us, and we all started saying it, and his eyes were so big. He had no idea. We left, and he's like, your family's a cult. Like, what happened? And I'm like, you don't do that? And then I went to his family, and they don't. They just, like, say a normal prayer. I don't know. And so, like, little things like that, like,
right.
Not that it's wrong, it's just different, but it was like, he was blown away. And so I think, thankfully, we're comfortable enough. He was like, what was that?
And being respectful of other people's stuff.
And yeah, I think that's something to teach your kid of, like, when somebody starts doing something different, like, how are you going to react? Ben didn't join in because he didn't know the words, but even if he did, like, he didn't have to join in. You can still be respectful of somebody else's traditions.
Yeah, and I mean, every Catholic house is different too, because my husband was raised Catholic, so the first time I had dinner at the Schmoker house, we all start getting ready to pray. Sid leads the prayer, his dad. I start to pray out loud too. Sid is the only one that prays though. So all of a sudden, I'm saying the prayer and Sid is saying the prayer. And the rest of the 75 Schmokers are not saying the prayer. So that was also a little embarrassing, but we got through it. So that's something else, just being respectful of other people's values and traditions. I think in just learning about people, I think is great. Asking questions, being intentional. Learning.
And asking, why do you do that? Like, I think that if you have a close friend that you are comfortable of asking, why do you do that? More power to you. Like, sometimes I almost wish I had friends that practice stuff differently than me, because I could ask why.
And learn. Even just going to First Christian now, like the way that they do things. I mean, you believe in one God, you believe in Jesus. That is the same with Catholicism. Like, the core beliefs are the same. But the way that they worship, we worship. The way that we worship, the way that we, speak even is just different. And so I think, like, just learning those different views. And I had a friend growing up that went to a different church too. So I would go to church with her. And I had a lot of fun. So I think as long as, like you said, like, knowing your values.
And that's something I've thought about. I can't even remember who it was, but I've had friends growing up that weren't allowed to spend the night on Saturday nights because they couldn't go to a different church. And I've thought about that. Like, will we let Briggs go to other churches? And I've never talked to Ben about this, so sorry, Ben. But I would assume yes, because him going to a different church doesn't mean he believes that. I think it might be beneficial for him to be exposed to other things. But, I mean, that's something that Ben and I need to talk about before Briggs asks to spend the night on a Saturday night. Like, those are just things in parenting you don't think about until
it comes.
Happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. And we grew up, we had Catholic grandparent and then we had Baptist grandparents. And so Jordan was the same way. Like, he had his dad's parents were Catholic, his mom's parents were Baptist. So I feel like it was never a thing for us to not be able to go to a different church because, like I said, like, the core beliefs are the same. Yeah, so that's something else too I've never really thought of either, because we all go to the same church.
Yeah. Well, let me know. If anybody else has already crossed that bridge, let us know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else that you can think of that as a counsel? Oh, FASFA. I wanted to talk about FASFA on a personal level as well. What do you recommend for parents? Is there, like, classes that you recommend going to? How do you manage, like, this?
Yes, the FASFA, so the free application for federal student aid, fun fact, is now a high school graduation requirement with the class of 2025. So I've learned a lot about FASFA. Do I do my own FASFA? No. Have I ever done my own taxes? No. So am I the best person to ask? No. But my job as a college and career counselor is to get students started. And then, like anything else, I'm not the most knowledgeable person on this. And so looking and using the resources, they have a YouTube channel that I, like, follow all day, every day, and has a ton of FAFSA information. It's changed. So, like, now it's only 30 questions instead of, like, 800 million. And the student starts it. Fun fact. So,
okay.
And your parent is called your contributor. So, like, I would start it, and then I would add my contributor, which would be my mom, and then my mom would connect directly to the IRS. So yeah, it's now a high school graduation requirement. There's an opt-out form if students don't want to do it. But I think the idea is, at least let's find out how much money the federal government will or will not give you to help you identify where you're going to go.
Okay. And scholarships, I feel like that's something that we did not really take advantage of, or I guess know how to do. And I know, like, at smaller schools it's focused on a lot more, but now they have you as a college and careers counselor What do you recommend for parents, like whenever that time comes, looking at different scholarship options?
Yeah, so where I work, I run a scholarship Google Classroom, and so I literally take out all the Googling for students of just like, hey, it looks like a Facebook page if you're like me and didn't have Google Classroom in high school. And so I just copy and paste any and all scholarships. There's also different websites like scholarship.com, Going Merry. You can go to like the letter U, go, and the number 2 has a scholarship a week and scholarships by deadline. And so work smarter, not harder on a lot of those things. And I told a student today, like, I posted a scholarship and they wanted to know if they qualified. I'm like, well, this is a female engineer. Are you a female and wanting to go into engineering? No. Sounds good. Skip it. So there's not an easy answer. I think maybe just looking at what is your goal. My goal is I wanted to go to a D1 school and have the experience of college. I knew that was going to come with loans, but how could I offset that a little bit? And so I think if your goal is to go debt-free, being realistic, maybe going to a massive university is not the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe figuring out what your goal is and then working backwards, which, don't get me wrong, we never had any of those conversations.
Right.
But hindsight's 20/20.
Right. And most schools, at least now, do you think that there are someone that's kind of like in your role that the parents can reach out to, or at least encourage the student to reach out to, and like you said, CC them in the email, just kind of get that conversation started?
Absolutely. And advocating at the college level. Like, even when I worked at, I worked at a regional institution, like, there were scholarships that would go on that, like, left untouched because we didn't know of a kid. And so making that person your best friend, that way when something comes across their desk and like, oh, here's a teaching scholarship. Well, oh yeah, I talked to a girl the other day that's interested in teaching. Well, now your name is the first one, whether you're the most qualified or not, you're the only person they know. And so I think it all goes back to advocating for yourself.
What would someone in that role like kind of be called? What would be the name?
A financial aid counselor or the college rep. So, like big universities have college reps that are like assigned to your high school. Those would be really good people to start with.
Okay. And then concurrent classes. So like we're in Owasso, Oklahoma. So Tulsa Community College is the one that's closest to us. So there is a way to do classes through Tulsa Community College. Is it free?
So the state and TCC together pay tuition, like 12 credit hours junior year and 18 credit hours senior year. So think about that. That's a full year of college and you just pay the fees. So we literally have an event Thursday and I want to get a shirt that says it's cheap but not free. So it's not free.
It's not free.
But think instead of $1,200, it's $200. Like, what a deal.
That's a deal. As we're still paying off our student loans, and I feel like we'll probably until
forever
we go on from this life. But yeah, so that's great information, and I wish that I would have been more intentional about trying to figure that out before I spent all my years in my education without any scholarship.
And I have a degree I'll never use.
Right. Okay, so your degree is in political science.
And I hate politics.
You hate politics, and then you went and got your master's.
Yes.
In, what is it in counseling?
School counseling.
School counseling. Okay, yeah. So there's just so many different routes to go. I'm a nurse, so I have a nursing license and went to nursing school, so I feel like that's pretty straightforward. But like our youngest sister, just graduated she is graduating from Oklahoma State University, and her major is like nutritional sciences or something?
Literally no idea.
But she's going to PA school. So there's so many different things that you can do. My husband graduated with health and exercise science. He is a teacher and coaches. So he, of course, had to get like emergency certification teaching. But there are just so many different options out there that I think that I just didn't know of or think of, or like different routes. And I also went to a D1 institution, not the same one as you because I went to the better one, the University of Oklahoma. But with that, I wish that I would have maybe taken advantage a little bit more of like going to the community college as well and cutting down on some of that cost.
I think it all goes back to decide in your family what your goal is and then advocate for yourself. Ask those questions. Be that annoying parent. Like, I think that's the best thing you can do is ask the questions, have the information readily available to yourself, and then make an educated decision. instead of letting somebody else tell you this is, hey, you want to go to law school, you have to do political science. That's not true, but I didn't know to question authority. So I think there's a healthy way to question what's being brought to you.
Right. And then trade schools too is another great option that I think that I just didn't know about.
Yeah.
Either. So like for nursing, you can go to LPN school. There's a lot of different other trades. What are some different trades that you've sent people?
Well, I even have a couple students in pharmacy tech right now, which is how our little sister is making more money as a part-time job than I might ever. And she's saying that, she's around the environment that she wants to go into. And so that could have started in a Tulsa Tech program in high school, or I have students getting CNA license. Well, that's super beneficial to go to nursing. So I think I tell students all the time, like, just because you're going to Tulsa Tech doesn't disqualify you from going to college after high school. If anything, you're now a better candidate for a nursing program than somebody that just woke up after senior year and decided to go to nursing school.
Right.
You've already been doing this for 2 years, doing labs, being a CNA,
Yeah, and the exposure to the environment is, it's wonderful. Well, thank you. This is some great topics and conversation, and I feel like hopefully it'll be really beneficial to a lot of the people that are listening. We covered a lot of different things from a variety, from pregnancy all the way to college.
Yes, we're just helping your child no matter where they're at. But truly, we don't have it all figured out, and I hope that helps.
Yes, and if you have any tips along the way, please let us know. Well, thank you guys so much. We loved having you, and we also just got new hats in. My sister-in-law made some hats. My sister, Bree, she owns Schmoker Designs. Check them out on Instagram. She does a great job, but we just got some new hats in, so I can't wait to share those with you guys. All right, love you guys. Bye. Mama, I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule today to listen to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. I'm Alexis Schmoker, and I hope you loved this conversation and that it resonated with you. Thank you so much for opening up your circle and letting us in as we walk through this wild ride of motherhood together. Remember, in the chaos of motherhood, there is always joy to be found. So keep looking in those little moments that make it all worth it. Be sure to follow along on Instagram at mamaofthewildcrew_podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so comment, tag me, DM me, let me know what you think, and let me know what you'd like to hear next. Mama, I am praying for you, I love you, and I cannot wait to see you next time.